It's an American disease, the lawsuit. Our courts are hopelessly jammed with thousands upon thousands of claims for damages, real and imagined. The Republicans, as a big part of their contract with America, are trying to do something about it. This week on Capitol Hill, they voted on legislation that would discourage people from bringing suits and encourage out-of-court settlements. But settlements are already sending our insurance premiums skyrocketing from one of America's most costly frauds. As Morley Safer reports, all it takes to cash in is a low-speed car accident, a fender bender. Add some medical bills and the threat of a lawsuit, and the insurance company is almost certain to pay up.
Is it an out-and-out scam?
Oh, there's no question it's a scam. It's an unbelievable scam.
Okay, but if you have an impact...
Bob Du Bois is an accident reconstruction specialist. He analyzes accidents for insurance companies all over the Northeast, and he sees the bogus claims every day.
We do hundreds of these things a month. The vehicle has little to no damage whatsoever, but the mere fact that someone has touched your bumper or creased the side of your vehicle seems to be grounds to bring a suit.
As in the case of this so-called victim, who collected thousands after a routine fender bender.
There was no injuries to me.
You felt fine?
I felt fine, right.
When did you start seeing dollars?
After I had talked to a few different people, namely a lawyer.
The lawyers sent him to a doctor who found an old injury. And what did he do?
He milked it for as long as he could, and then he turned me over to a surgeon.
What did the surgeon say?
Surgeon said to me, if I let him operate on me, which would be a bogus operation, that would be worth $200,000 my end.
200,000?
Right.
And all he was proposing was to make an incision.
That's all.
So he could say there was surgery of some kind.
Right.
He decided in the end, no surgery. But the insurance company did pay him a mere $50,000, even though the latest data from collision analysts show that it's almost impossible to get hurt in low-speed accidents. Biodynamics Engineering in California uses real people, living dummies, to make the point. The drivers and passengers take MRI scans before and after the bumps, and the results are simple, they say. No one gets hurt in impact tests at speeds under 10 miles an hour. Bob Du Bois is his own dummy for his impact studies, and his results are the same. These bumps cause no personal injury, but that doesn't stop people from making outrageous claims.
This one, for example, is a small dent on the side of the car. That dent right there, we replicated by simply kicking the side of a vehicle in. If you were to try to get a sense of how much force was exchanged during this collision, I think sneezing would probably generate more G-forces than what you're seeing right there. In that particular case, there were 5 passengers in the vehicle, and they totaled up $72,000 worth of medical bills.
You're saying that that once your car gets bumped, your larcenous spirit takes over.
That's the amazing thing, you know, people that are otherwise very ethical and honest, when they get tapped in the rear end, all of a sudden it's like they've won the lottery.
But an essential ingredient to winning a payoff from the insurance company is finding the right doctor or chiropractor willing to provide medical evidence of pain and suffering, no matter how minor the bump. In Boston, the man who's had great success in helping people win claims is a chiropractor, Dr. Alan Rosenthal.
I specialize in personal injury patients.
He markets himself to lawyers with this video presentation.
Courts require objective
Dr.
testing
Rosenthal
and
is accused of
examination.
manipulating the system as much as manipulating spines. He's a multi-millionaire who pitches his talent for piling up documentation.
My staff and I can provide you with the timely and complete documentation of injury you need to represent your clients.
Documentation, the lifeblood of personal injury, real or imagined. According to Tim Carr, a chiropractor who worked for Rosenthal, the good doctor's real specialty was treating healthy clients. Did he ever direct you to treat someone who you knew wasn't injured?
Yes, he did.
Chiropractic is all about using hands to manipulate the bones of the spine. Rosenthal was supposedly doing that to as many as 100 patients a day. But when Tim Carr treated some of those same people, it was clear many had never even been touched.
I had a couple of patients actually think that I was accosting them. I began to wonder that how come he doesn't know what or this patient doesn't know what I'm doing, when in fact Rosenthal had written that he adjusted a specific segment.
And the patient, in fact, had never been touched.
He got up and he was going to fight. He thought I was attacking him, which led me to believe he doesn't know what I'm doing. When I really became suspicious, I took the chart and surveyed 36, 34 patients. I asked them specifically if they were manipulated or adjusted. 28 said no. 4 couldn't remember, and 2 said yes.
Tim Carr quit.
No comments at this time.
But Rosenthal, who won't talk to us, built up a small fortune through his 2 Boston area offices. He also attracted suspicion from investigator Dan Skelly of the Massachusetts Insurance Fraud Bureau. When you look at some of Rosenthal's ads, he's almost encouraging people. Could it be argued that he's encouraging people to find injuries where none exist?
I think it's a marketing strategy, a very effective marketing strategy.
Insurance fraud in Massachusetts got so bad that a few years ago a law was passed to make it more difficult to sue. Instead of at least $500 in medical bills, you need at least $2,000 in bills in order to sue for pain and suffering. Did that stop the fraud? Just the opposite. It seemed to encourage it.
The immediate result was that a lot more medical practitioners and a lot more lawyers made a lot more money.
How much more?
A lot more. Chiropractors in the first year of study after that, their total take profession-wide went up 231%.
After the law was passed, Dr. Rosenthal put out a stern memo to all his staff, directing them not to release any patient until they'd made 25 visits and been given a full battery of tests, enough tests and visits to raise the medical bills over the $2,000 tort threshold, as it's called.
You'd be amazed at how many people are cured by these people at $2,200, $2,300. I mean, as soon as they get over that magic $2,000 tort threshold, you know, they're cured.
I went from one attorney to another attorney. I went through the necessary steps, and I had myself a situation that began to escalate into something that was a moneymaker.
And once cured and holding a pocket full of medical bills, you're ready to sue for pain and suffering.
Their ship has come in. They've won the lottery.
Bob Du Bois describes how easy the fraud is to pull off in training sessions for insurance companies. What's remarkable is how quickly these same companies pay out settlements.
The insurance companies obviously look at the economics of these things. These low-velocity crashes generally run between $20,000 and $50,000 for claims. If an insurance company wants to defend a case like that, they've got to go out and hire a lawyer. They've got to hire an independent medical examiner. They've got to hire an expert. By the time the costs come together, it's really not worth trying to fight some of these cases.
You mean it's better to give the guy 15 grand and walk away from it?
Of course it is. It's a matter of economics.
People who make false claims invariably claim soft tissue injuries. Injuries to the muscles, tendons, and ligaments, the kind that don't show up on x-rays and are very difficult to disprove.
I have a headache. I'm nauseous. I can't turn my head to the left or the right. My back is sore. There's really nothing objective in many of these cases to show the court a broken bone. They're all subjective complaints.
Since the action of the whiplash
We showed Du Bois Dr. Rosenthal's video sales pitch for lawyers. The tape emphasizes the likelihood of a soft tissue injury in a minor accident.
I see a subtle suggestion here in this tape that, that this damage right here that we're looking at is enough to induce some sort of injury.
Which is scratches.
That's correct. I mean, there's superficial scratches at that. This type of scratch, a person wouldn't even spill a cup of coffee if it was sitting in his lap during a collision like this. I've done crashes where we've damaged the side of a vehicle upwards to 10 inches with a hot cup of coffee in my hand and not even spill it. What you're seeing here is not going to cause any injury. This is ridiculous. It's absurd. It's just, it's misleading as can be.
complex injuries.
Massachusetts does oversee chiropractors through a state certification board. Over the years, the board received 27 complaints against Dr. Rosenthal, mostly from insurance companies claiming he was giving unnecessary treatment. Through it all, Rosenthal kept practicing. But board secretary Joe Boyle says these things take time. You're familiar with Dr. Rosenthal?
I'm familiar with Dr. Rosenthal, yes.
He's also familiar with that Rosenthal memo, that direction to his staff: don't dismiss anyone until they've had 25 visits, which is more or less reaching the magic number of $2,000.
Yes. As I'm sure you realize, I can't, as a member of the board, comment on any specific case that happens to be pending before the board. I agree, that is a very incriminating piece of evidence.
The board called Rosenthal in to explain himself, but did not take any action.
Eventually, it'll get to the top of our pile, and we will be taking action against him.
Of course, without the cooperation of personal injury lawyers, the fraud would be minimal. Investigators found a pattern of certain lawyers feeding chiropractors and MDs allegedly injured clients. But forgetting the matter of fraud, there is the sheer weight of lawyers encouraging people to sue.
If you're injured, don't even
The
listen.
airwaves are filled with their commercials.
We're going to get our client what is rightfully hers, and that's that.
And when lawyers talk,
You don't see if that victim will ever walk again.
people
You
seem
don't
to
see
listen.
the pain and the suffering that will last
People who
a lifetime.
otherwise would not have considered making a claim.
And you pay us nothing until you get paid for your injuries.
The system is unbelievable. The whole system is really based a lot on trust. And when you get involved with people who know how much money can be made in this system, then the trust goes right out the window.
As for chiropractor Alan Rosenthal, an investigation into his practice by the Massachusetts Insurance Fraud Bureau resulted in a federal indictment. He goes to trial in May, facing 36 counts of fraud and racketeering.